Hi there, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I can't believe how long of a break we've taken, and
I've
my
just
fault.
I was just noticing that you've been in Florida and I look so pasty next to you for those watching the video.
You know, I have decided to become a spray tan person. Like this
Oh,
is not spray tan. This is
okay.
actually a little bit, okay, here's a product placement. Elf drops, glow drops and moisturizer, which boost whatever sun I got. But I'm afraid of frying my skin in the sun. So I think spray tanning is the way to go. I haven't done it. Years ago, I did it once. It was kind of a debacle, but I think that's the way to go.
Okay.
That's what I'm deciding. So look into it. I don't
Yeah.
know. Would you ever do that? No, I'm putting you on the
Spray
spot.
tanning? Probably. I just recently saw that Friends episode where Ross like can't get it right and like the front of his body gets sprayed, 100 times and the back gets nothing. So
Right.
I think I'd have to get out of my head a little bit about that because that would happen to me.
I see. Yeah, it feels like I haven't done it to this point because it takes being in the know, like who's the right artist and when do you do it, and I think you have to exfoliate beforehand. There's a whole
It's too much work.
process. Too
Yeah.
much work.
It's
Maybe I'll
easier to
just
just
go lay
go
back
sit
out
outside.
with my vinyl, my album cover in tinfoil.
Yeah. Okay. So, jumping into it, today's topic is inspired by a LinkedIn post that I just put out there. Um, the theme of all my posts last week was not all of them, but there was a an underlying theme of get off my lawn. And
I love
so
that.
one of something that really bothers me and like it had just kind of been bothering me and I never really sat down to think about why. And so when I was
Mm,
kind of on this role of things that annoy me, I actually sat down to think about why. And I find it kind of interesting. So the thing that annoys me that we're going to use as a jumping off point is it really makes me just crazy and eye rolly and like when people use the term casting for
yes.
recruitment of influencers. And
Yes.
like it just, like I said, it had always bugged me and bothered me. And I just kind of rolled my eyes and moved on. But then when I sat down to actually think about it, here's why it bothers me. This is not, I mean, certainly there are some folks in Los Angeles or Hollywood doing what we do, but as an industry, this isn't Hollywood. When you are
Mm,
hiring an influencer, you are hiring a real person to talk about their real experience with a real brand.
hmm.
That is not casting. Casting is fiction. Casting is for a movie. Casting is
Right.
for an actor who is telling a fake story in a fake production. And so I just don't understand this need for Hollywoodification of our
Hmm.
industry because I think I, I think it leads to a lot of misunderstanding about how this all works. And I
Right.
think this might seem like a silly little thing that's annoying me, but I think it's actually harmful.
Yeah. What I even realize in you saying that is how many the nuances that you and I understand in the industry that are going to be lost sort of naturally to folks who don't pay as close attention. And yes, I do think it is harmful. And it the description that you gave or the lead in also sets up how problematic it is that the influencer creator world has appropriated some traditions or structures from the entertainment world without any of the safeguards, licensing, training, any of that stuff. And I'm thinking of the management side of things, which I know we're not going to go into, but there's just a little. So when you call it casting, now people are thinking that they're just in a much different industry than they are. And anyway, so I agree with you. It has always bothered me as well. And I'm probably maybe less generous attributed it to folks wanting it to sound more glamorous than it really is,
Yeah,
or
that's what I said in my
shortcutting.
LinkedIn post that it's like this way to add glamour to to what we do. And I mean, first of all, I don't think we need I think what we do is plenty exciting and I like it. And I think there's high quality. And I don't think you need to slap a full length ball gown onto it, and some borrowed
Right.
diamonds. Like,
But maybe a spray tan. Okay,
sure.
wait, no, I digress. But right, it doesn't need to be zhuzhed up in an artificial way.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, and then let's talk about some of the like when you're looking at influencer marketing through this lens of casting and Hollywood, I think that's where you end up with some of this confusion over like content briefing and scripting.
Yes, I argue that the problems start way before that, but I'm in a headspace right now where I'm just seeing the entire influencer landscape going through this pendulum swing and feeling, again, I said this to you off camera, that you and I have been standing sort of in the middle, watching it swing wildly one way, and now it wants to swing. And we're like, no, it's always been, about what it's about. So yes, creative briefing becomes scripting, and even if it's not, like I have a screenwriting background, right? I've written screenplays, even if it's not dialogue, like influencer says this, blah, blah, blah. The creator briefs are so minute, so detailed that, we've had brands that say the most marketing is like such and such product inspires feelings of family and nostalgia and da, da, da. And that's in the brief. And then they're like, and the creator can say it however they want. There's nobody that will say that. Like, that is just not, so it really does become scripting, to your point.
Well, did I ever tell you the story? We, back way before COVID, we used to do a lot of house parties where we would hire an influencer to host a party at her house featuring a product and invite a bunch of other influencers and then regular people over. And we would typically send a professional photographer so that we could get some brand owned assets out of it and you get people experiencing the product. And it was just a whole thing. And we were doing one for paper towels. And we were showing all of the use. That is where I learned that if you need to quickly chill a bottle of white wine, if you wet a paper towel and wrap it around the bottle and put it in the freezer, it chills very fast.
Ooh, okay, good note.
So we hired an influencer to host this party about paper towels in honor of paper towels, a paper towel extravaganza. And the client was young, granted, but the client thought it was like a play. The client wrote a script for the hostess.
Oh,
but it was like an actual party.
Right. That's such a disconnect. That's interesting. And did you find also, P.S., back in the days of those where live streaming wasn't a thing, YouTube wasn't there was no Zoom necessarily, that the fascination was with the friends and family being invited, like, what is even happening here? Like, what is this? What are we doing? It was so organic and grassroots. And we've done a few of those as well and tried to use technology to make it interesting. But a script on top of all that, a play, is very interesting choice.
Paper towel play. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we had scripts for Twitter parties.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
But that was more like a run of show. Like, this is what we're talking about.
We will sometimes ask influencers to write a script if the video that they are producing is a voiceover. And it's a client that's incredibly, let me take a step back. If we have a client who is incredibly particular and we know that they're going to have edits after the video is produced and we know that they are just very, very set in their ways, we will direct that client to have that video be a voiceover versus talking to camera, because voiceovers are a lot easier to edit post-production. And we will have the influencer, we don't write it for them. The brand doesn't write it for them. So that's a distinction here.
Sure.
We will have the
Yeah.
influencer write a script in their own voice of that voiceover and get that approved by the brand ahead of time to try to limit some of this editing after the fact.
Right.
That's the only case I can think of where a script
Oh,
makes any sense in this
it's a
world.
tool. It's an absolute tool. And I love that you've set up the interface between you, the client, the talent, maybe their manager. Like, we want to streamline all of this because we know the nuances here. We know how to shortcut so that you're not frustrated and filming footage over and over again that could just be cut, edited in a voiceover. And to tie that back to casting, maybe that's part of the friction or the ire that we have for this is it paints a picture that is not really as realistic as this is nitty gritty. This is, it's selling the client, which in this case, I guess could be the brand, on a process that sounds very glamorous. And really, it's a lot more down and dirty than that. And to your point, even if they use casting as a catch-all term to just say finding the perfect influencers, that it still pushes it into the realm of sensationalism or entertainment versus who has a following, who has a voice among the people we're trying to reach, not
Yeah.
something that's just eye-catching or gobsmacking or beautifully curated. All of that, it does speak to beautifully curated.
I have to, there is an instance in which casting would make its way into what we do day to day. And I feel like
Tell
I
me.
need to kind of out myself on that. So when we are doing creator generated content that is not getting posted on the influencer's feed,
Mm.
that is not influencer content because they're not posting it, they're not
Right.
sharing it. They are
It's not
basically
about their trust that they've built
not
with
at
their
all. It's
audience.
about
Right.
their lo-fi production
It's
capabilities.
creative. It's the
Yes,
creative, the content. Hmm.
right. And so I think I've shared, I feel like my mother sharing stories over and over again.
It's okay.
But
There are new
we
listeners.
we did a program last year for a jewelry store, and they were promoting an engagement ring, and they only wanted CGC, creator generated content. They did not want influencers to post anything on their profiles. And so we really were just looking for the right people who would create that right type of content. And one of the creators who we hired for that was not in the process of getting married or engaged, but it didn't matter because he wasn't posting anything on his feed. And he did indeed hire himself a fiance and cast some random lady in his
Yes.
content as a
Yeah.
fiance. That is casting. That is fake. That's not his real fiance. That
And
was
it's
not posted on
advertising.
his feed.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's but just to clarify, when I see people throwing the word casting around all willy-nilly all over LinkedIn, it has nothing to do with what I just talked about. It's for actual
Right.
influencer marketing campaigns.
And I think this is my doorway to pull you over into my definition, the difference between creators and influencers, because that is where I believe casting, in my mind, then always becomes about creators who are personas, and it's all about their content and the world that they've built with their lo-fi editing, you know, uh, production values versus influencers. And I don't even know that influencers is the right title. We started with bloggers. It's just where we've landed,
Right.
who have a subject matter expertise, a passion, of a focus that they bring through to other people who want to know about it through social media and long form content. And it's not a persona. You are, okay, we could argue it is a persona because everything we put out is a persona, but it's not a manufactured. This is what's important to them. This is what they know about. This is what they want to talk about. They're building trust and equity. So I think casting also, confuses that piece.
I
And
think
I
it's
don't want them confused.
right. But I think you actually kind of get to the core of how this came up. I think there is this embarrassment over the term influencer and this desire to kind of move away from it because it seems lowbrow in some way,
Yeah,
and I
seedy.
believe that that's why the term creator came up, because it felt more comfortable to the people doing this for a living. And I think that whole move away from influencer and towards creator is that same kind of movement that has like given rise to this term casting, which, like, we say this over and over again. We've been doing this for a long time. I've been working in this space for over 20 years. I did not see that word casting until the last couple years, I would say.
Right.
And it has kind of exploded everywhere. Now it's new.
Yeah.
It's
It'd be
new.
interesting to track the use of that word with the sort of move to calling it the creator economy versus influencer, and then the strong, like almost unmitigated, barreling down a hill. We've got this all to be a media buy. That whole taking influencer creator into, oh, this is just transactional, like a media buy, and it is not. I feel like all of these things are, there's some kind of Venn diagram that they
There's like a
perpetuate
crazy time. Well, and I
each
think you
other.
can also look at who owns this
Mm,
influencer marketing budget, right? Like, that's, it used to, when you were looking at the different agencies, it used to always be the PR agency, and then media buying was trying to get a piece of it, and then influencer marketing agencies kind of finally got their seat at the table. Now we're seeing creative agencies come
wanting to
in
expand.
and wanting to expand, and like just seeing the popularity of this lo-fi content and getting involved. And so I think, as kind of like the different kind of wedges of the marketing pie all vie for this budget, like terminology changes and adjusts, and things keep shifting.
And it's interesting because it feels like whoever has the biggest megaphone, bullhorn, or the biggest like financial backing wins, because programmatic media buying has won. If you ask me, they've really, I think, skewed the definition of influencer marketing, for better or worse, or the expectations around it.
I feel like we're seeing a shift, though. Like I was
Yeah.
saying, like I do think there is a shift coming from media buying over to creative, especially with these little kind of like short plays. Again, getting play, like getting back to this whole casting thing. Like, people putting together these little shows
Hmm.
on their platforms. Like, there
Right.
is some kind of a shift, and I love, like, to be clear, I actually love that content, and I think it's a brilliant use of short form content platforms, and is such a great way for brands to be get themselves out there creatively and utilize influencers and creators for the brilliant creative minds that they are. Like, so I have no issue with that. um and maybe that's why, part of
But
why
doesn't
this is
that,
happening, but that's
doesn't
different.
that,
That's different than like
yeah, that's not
influencer
influencer
marketing.
content, right? That's entertainment. That's,
That's social media platform content that is sometimes propelled and powered by personalities on the
mhm.
platform. So it's all kind of like, you're right. There is this kind of Venn diagram of like, okay, I'm a person who makes my living online. Do I tell fiction stories or nonfiction story? Do I share about my life, or am I purely for entertainment? Do I work with brands? Who's paying my bills? Like, there is this crazy, I mean, it's almost too complicated to be a Venn diagram, which I think are
Right.
supposed to be simple, but
Right, right. No, I think it is both very complicated. I agree with you. I think there's a shift happening, a correction of sorts. I find it interesting when folks say, "Oh, we never needed big elaborate productions and hi-fi production values and glossy. We're going now, it's evolving to trusted voices who are experts and influencers And no, we're not going to that. We're going back to that. Like it really has, I think it's always been at the heart of it. But to not lose the point, I'm with you on casting. I think it's so interesting that separately we both felt like irritated by it when it comes up. I
Yeah.
always, again, I just thought like, okay, I'm just being fussy because I get off my lawn. Like I don't want
Yeah.
people changing the playing field on me while I've been here for so long. But you make some really good points that there's
Yeah.
there's
I
some
was just,
danger
if you
in
saw
it.
my eyes moving around, I was
Yeah.
trying to like quickly search on LinkedIn to find some of these posts where people say they're casting for a current program because I just want, before we close out, like I just want to clarify this is not for these short form fiction pieces. This is
Right.
like, I am casting for perimenopausal women to do a urinary incontinence product campaign. Like it's like
Right.
real people talking about real stuff. It is like so
Yeah.
far from
And let me
casting in my
ask you,
mind.
have you ever used, and maybe you don't want to share this, but it would be public. Have you ever used your LinkedIn platform to search for creators?
Um, I don't think so. I've used Facebook occasionally when it's something where I feel like my community. I'll give you two examples. So once it actually was a perimenopausal urinary pad product. And I know because I was like super heavily involved in the mom blogger space back in the
Yeah.
mid 2000s,
Those are some
like,
people that need some bladder help.
right, right. Like a lot of the people I'm connected with still on Facebook, you've said the same thing, are women of a certain age
Yeah.
who probably can't jump on a trampoline without some kind of product.
Issue. Oh,
So I posted for that one. And then
yeah.
we do work for a state university, a
Mm,
New York State University. And so many of we were looking for parents. We were looking for
oh,
alumni and then parents
yeah.
of current students. And because I grew up in New York, so many people in my network fit one of those two categories.
Right.
So I posted about that there, but
Because
like not for LinkedIn. There's a lot of people. I'm always like, why did people hire you if you don't have access to anyone?
yes, this is where I'm going with
Why
this.
are you
Like number
posting a
one,
cattle call?
you just talked about how you activate your personal networks because influencer marketing and those people need to be human beings who are dealing with this very issue or topic. So you just kind of underscored for me why I love the industry. And also, yeah, don't call it casting to make yourself look good out there on LinkedIn. You are asking us to do your work for you,
Yeah.
your professional community who might be your competitors. So that was part of my point too, is if they didn't have the word casting and they were like, hey, I'm having trouble finding people and blah, 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 it's a whole different story
Yeah.
versus putting like lip gloss on a pig and saying I'm casting and giving them, again, this probably reveals more about me than them, that I'm so fired up about, like, you shouldn't be making yourself look good while you're asking all of us to do your work. But it shows. I'm
Yeah.
always very careful on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Never, I might express like, boy, the gaming industry is tough to, what's happening for me, but I'm never like, hey, I'm going to go to my contacts
Yeah, to me,
directly and
that's not
say,
like, certainly we've all had these campaigns that are trickier to recruit for, but I feel like posting it as a cattle call on LinkedIn is not the move, at least not for me.
no,
And it sounds like not like I've gone
no,
into Slack communities that I'm a part of, and I'm like, hey, we're doing this tricky thing. Anyone
yeah,
happen to have any good contacts
yeah.
for me? Yeah.
And oh, what was I going to say about that to wrap it up? I had a really interesting, the most fascinating thing I was going to say, now it just left my mind. Um, yeah, no, I think we're together on this. The
Yeah.
casting thing is
Thumbs down.
is interesting. It's telling, and we don't like it.
Yeah.
I
Booty
guess we'll leave it
casting.
there.
Okay. Well, I will
Yeah,
see you next week. We'll talk to everyone next week. Thank you.
sounds good. See you then.
Bye.